Bradford City continue their 2025-26 League One campaign with a home clash against Alex Ravel's Stevenage FC, and in today's video you're going to find out how both teams have got on so far this season, what my starting 11 would be for this game if I was Graham Alexander. If you do go on to enjoy today's video, then make sure to like, comment and subscribe. But my team Bradford City, we currently sit third in the League One table. After 41 matches, we've got 21 wins, 8 draws and 12 defeats, where we've scored 52 goals and also conceded at 45. That leaves us on a positive 7 goal difference and at 71 points. Our last couple of matches then have been a win, a loss, a draw and a loss. On Easter Monday then we had a 2-1 win away at Wycombe Wanderers. Pretty even first half. You probably say they were the better of the two sides, but second half I thought we put on a really good performance. We know we've not been great away from home, especially in 2026, but this is a massive win for us. It now puts us, I think, 9 points clear of 7th place, and obviously Wycombe were one of those teams trying to catch us in the playoffs. They're incredibly strong at home, and this was a fantastic victory for us. We also had a 1-0 win at home to Northampton Town. A case of job done, really. Not the best performance in the world. Northampton are always going to try and make it tricky and difficult, although they are, for the large part, already relegated down to League 2. But a win and a clean sheet, you can't really complain too much. We also had a 2-1 defeat away at Burton Albion. Very good first 30-35 minutes or so, but we give away a very cheap goal for the first one. The second one's a great finish, and in the second half we created very little. Tyreek Wright managed to get us a goal back very late on in that game, but I think on the balance of play, I don't really think we did deserve much out of it. Certainly no more than a point. We also had a 1-1 draw at home to Mansfield Town. I thought this was probably a better performance than the Northampton game, and it goes to show that you don't always get what you deserve in football. Their goal was incredibly scrappy and a lot of fortune about it. Ours was a fantastic strike from Tyreek Wright, and it's obviously disappointing not to win at home, but Mansfield are a decent side and we've struggled against them over the years. And we also had a 2-0 defeat away at Wigan. Really poor performance. It was a game of just not really a lot happening. They took both of their opportunities when they came. Sam Walker and a couple others like Metcalf and maybe Ashby might be a bit disappointed with the second goal. But thankfully we put this game behind us because we created very little. The pitch was absolutely awful and we were probably deservedly beaten on that day. Compared though to Stevenage FC, they currently sit 6th in the League One table. After 40 matches, they've got 18 wins, 10 draws and 12 defeats, where they've scored 42 goals and also conceded at 38. That leaves them on a positive 4 goal difference and 64 points. Their last couple of matches then have been a win, a draw, a win, a loss and a win. So they've not won back-to-back games for quite a while, to be honest with you, and obviously they did win their most recent game, which was a 1-0 victory at home to Blackpool. The away side had been on a decent-ish run of form recently, so this is a good 3 points to get on the board for Stevenage. Looking at the stats, it was a deserved victory as well. There's normally not loads of chances created for either team in games where Stevenage are playing. They've got a really horrible style of play, but it's got them up into 6th in the table, so clearly it is very effective at this level. Prior to that game though, they had a 0-0 draw away at Rotherham, who also did end the game with only 10 men on the pitch. Looking at the stats from this one, it did seem like quite an even affair. Maybe Stevenage were slightly the better of the two sides, but again, it's another very low scoring game that Stevenage are involved in. They also had a 1-0 win at home to Reading. Again, another case of job done. Dan Kemp scoring a pretty late winner in that one, and again, it's another very low scoring game that Stevenage are involved in. Looking at the stats though from the match, Stevenage were clearly the better of the two sides and did deserve to win by much more than a 1-goal margin, but I think goals is certainly something that they have struggled for this campaign, but defensively they are incredibly strong. They also had a 1-0 defeat away at Plymouth. Conceded from a set piece is not really something that you would associate Stevenage with. Again, another low scoring match though that Stevenage are involved in. If we have a look at the stats from this game, again, quite an even affair. Stevenage probably deserved a point out of that one, and obviously it is two sides that are challenging to break into those playoff places before the end of the season. And they also had a 1-0 win at home to Wimbledon. Jamie Reid scoring the only goal of the game from the penalty spot 10 minutes in, and again another very low scoring game that Stevenage are involved in. Looking at the stats from this one, did seem like quite an even affair. Wimbledon have the of the two sides and probably did deserve to edge it by just a 1-goal margin, so there's definitely not going to be a lot of goals in this one, although that's normally what happens when we play Wimbledon, and this season there's been nearly 10 goals across our two games. Before we do go any further though, with today's video. Please make sure to drop a like on there for me and subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. Can we try and hit 150 likes, as I said at the start of today's video? And don't forget to get your thoughts in down in the comment section down below. Let me know down below your score prediction for this match. What would your starting 11 be as well? Would you make any changes from Monday's win away at Wickham? In terms of my team then for this game against Stevenage, I would stick with the 3-4-2-1 formation. If you go back and have a look at our starting lineup from when we drew 1-1 at Stevenage, I think back in October, our team has changed a fair lot since then. I think the likes of Neil Byrne, Kieran Kelly, Callum Kavanagh all started in that game. But in goal for me for this one, I would stick with Sam Walker. I think since I made that video about Sam Walker, questioning is he good enough for Bradford City, do we need to replace him in the summer? He's then actually put in two really good performances, I thought, in particular against Wickham, where he actually didn't keep a clean sheet in that game, but nothing he can do about the goal. I thought he looks really commanding of his penalty area, and obviously makes a great save in the first half, where potentially the ball does go over the line, but I thought Sam Walker had a really good performance against Wickham, and hopefully he can bring that momentum into this game against Stevenage and keep yet another clean sheet at Valley Parade. In terms of my back three then, firstly at right centre-back, I would go with Matt Pennington. Again, one of our most underrated players, I would say, from this season. I really like Pennington, and I think we did miss him for that 2-month period where he picked up the hamstring injury, I want to say away at Bolton back in November sort of time, but since he's come back into the side, I think he's been incredibly consistent and deserves to keep his place in this side. In the middle of my back three, I would go with Aidan Baldwin. Obviously went through a bit of a rollercoaster of emotions in that game against Wickham, probably at fault for our first goal. I know Lee Evans doesn't really do him many favours either, but it looks to me like Baldwin's going to play a long ball and then at the last second kind of changes his mind, and Evans already on the half turn, and obviously they go through and score that. However, Baldwin obviously pops up with the winner in the second half. It's nice to see us scoring from a set piece, not something that I think we've done enough as of the last couple of weeks or months potentially, but really delighted for Baldwin to get himself on the score sheet. I think our defenders have really stepped up, especially centre-backs have stepped up and chipped in with their fair share of goals this season. Apart from our left centre-back, and that's Curtis Tilt, I think he's the only defender yet to have scored this season, obviously barring Kieran Kelly, who hasn't really played that much football for Bradford City this campaign. But Curtis Tilt again keeps his place in the side for me, defensively very strong, put in a really important block, I think at 1-1 towards the beginning of the second half, and Tilt again consistent, solid. We probably missed him in the reverse fixture, so he's the perfect sort of player that you need in these type of physical games. In terms of my midfield four then, firstly at right wing back, I would stick with Harrison Ashby. I think it was a bit of a surprise to see Ashby included in the starting 11 against Wickham, because I thought Nerfel had a pretty decent game against Northampton. Ashby was thrown in, having not started again for Bradford City for a very long time. Maybe Lincoln away was potentially Ashby's last start, and that was obviously right at the end of January. But I thought first half wasn't his best performance, but again it takes a little bit of time to get up to speed. But then second half I thought he massively improved, played a really integral part in our first goal, some brilliant play and a fantastic through ball to Stephen Humphreys, where eventually Poynton does finish it off. Obviously did come off in the 80th minute with cramp, pretty understandable given his lack of football, but I think he's had, well, we're going to have nearly a week's rest between the two games, so he should hopefully be available for this one. In terms of my two central midfielders, firstly I would stick with the captain Max Power. I thought again had a really good game against Wickham Wanderers. I think he's really stepped up in the last couple of weeks. Obviously there is still that thing in the back of everyone's mind, if he does get 2 more yellow cards between now and the end of the season, then he is going to get a 3-game ban, which would be a massive blow for Bradford City. I think if he gets booked in the next 2 games, then he'll miss the remainder of the season, but any more after that, and he is going to start missing some of those playoff games. But I thought against Wickham had a really strong performance. Obviously gets an assist for the second goal, I think his 6th assist of the season, and it goes to show sometimes you've just got to put set pieces in the box. We don't have to go short every single time. Brilliant delivery and a great finish from Aidan Baldwin. And partnering him in the midfield, I would bring back in Jensen Metcalf. I feel like putting him on the bench away at Wickham was the right decision. I don't think Metcalf's quite been up to that same standard that we know he can produce. Obviously deservedly nominated for Young Player of the Season. I thought if Metcalf's in there, then surely Poynton's got to be in there as well. But Metcalf, I think when he came on at half time, was brilliant in that second half. Looked like again he had a point to prove and a bit of that grit in between his teeth once again. I don't think Lee Evans had a particularly great first half, and I think that midfield partnership of Power and Metcalf will probably be it now for the remainder of the season. Lee Evans has came in January to do a job for us, and I think he'll just be used as experience to help us see games out between now and the end of the season. But Metcalf for me had a really good second half, and I would like to see him come back into the side. And completing midfield four then, at left wing back I would go with Ibu Toure. I thought again had a really solid performance against Wickham. His experience was very important in that position to help us see the game out. Just links up very well with Poynton down that left side, and obviously Tyreek Wright is going to miss the next couple of weeks with that hamstring injury, so now is the time for Toure to really step up, hopefully get his first league goal of the season as well in this game. That would be very nice. In terms of my front three then, firstly as my right attacking midfielder I would stick with Anthony Sarcevic. Not his best performance of the season against Wickham, but certainly not his worst, and we know he's got 13 goal contributions this season into double figures, 4 goals as well now, and absolutely loves a goal at Valley Parade. I think missed the reverse fixture through injury, so hopefully we can see him on the score sheet once more. As my left attacking midfielder I would go with Bobby Poynton. I thought over the Easter period he had 2 really good performances, but especially away at Wickham I thought he was absolutely fantastic, deserved his goal as well, and he's just so good at that, just knowing where to be, always in the right place at the right time, crashing into the penalty area to pick up any scraps. And again, another first time finish for him. He's now adding away goals to his game as well, where early on in the season it seemed like he could only score at Valley Parade, but I think he's just getting better and better as each game does go by. I think again he's up to 13 goal contributions for the season now, and missed around about a month or so around the New Year sort of period. So again, Poynton has been a revelation this season. He just gets better and better and deserves to keep his place in the side for me. And completing my team then as the striker, obviously we've got 5 options. I think you're only really going to consider 3 of them for this game. I don't think anybody's going to suggest Paul Mullin to start this game. I don't think anybody's going to suggest Ethan Wheatley to start this game. Me personally, I would go with Caden Jackson. Now I know he's just come back from a 6-week long knee injury, but I think Jackson, the only way you're going to build him back up to being able to consistently start a lot of games is by playing him into fitness, and I think he's obviously not going to last more than an hour. But I look at Will Swan, I look at Stephen Humphries, and I feel like Jackson is the best type of profile for this game. It's going to be a physical battle, and Jackson is the best man for that. I feel like Humphries gets very frustrated in these type of games. Will Swan, it's just not really that sort of one. We don't need to be pressing their centre backs who are just going to lob it 50 yards up into the sky anytime the ball goes anywhere near them. So I think Jackson would be the best option for this game, and then you've got good options in the likes of Humphries and Swan to come on off the bench. Whatever you pick between those 3, I think it's probably really between Jackson and Humphries, depending on Jackson's availability. I think the answer is probably not going to be Paul Mullin, is it? On the bench now for me, that would leave Joe Hilton, Josh Nerfill, Joe Wright, Lee Evans, Nick Powell, who I actually thought had a decent cameo on off the bench against Wickham, and it was nice to see him back. I thought used the experience very well and might potentially get a start next week against Barnsley. Also on the bench for me would be Stephen Humphries and Will Swan. I think the only player currently unavailable is Tyreek Wright, who obviously is going to miss the next few weeks with that hamstring injury. So the players you miss out then through selection would be Kieran Kelly, Louis Sibley, George Lapsley, Joe White, Ethan Wheatley, and also Paul Mullin. So again, you're looking at 4 of those 6 were signed in January by Bradford City, and again we go back to that window, certainly wasn't the best one that David Sharp has had. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there then for today's video. If you have enjoyed, please make sure to drop a like on there for me, and subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. Can we try and hit 150 likes, as I said at the start of today's video? And don't forget to get your thoughts in down in the comment section down below. Let me know down below your score prediction for this match. What would your starting 11 be as well? Would you make any changes from Monday's win against Wycombe Wanderers? Thank you all very much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you very soon for another one.